Good night, everyone. Tonight, I will read news about elephants. Our headline tonight is Why Not Task Pushing Deep Scales of Elephant Evolution. A hefty set of tasks is usually an advantage for elephants, allowing them to dig for water, strip bark for food, and joust with other elephants. But during episode of intense effort pushing, those big incisions become a liability. New researchers have pinpointed how years of civil war and poaching in Mozambique have led to a greater proportion of elephants that will never develop tusks. During the conflict from 1977 to 1992, factions on both sides structured elephants for ivory to finance war efforts. In the region that's now Gorongosa National Park, around 90% of the elephants were killed. The survivors were likely to share a key characteristic: half the females were naturally tuskless; they simply never developed tusks. Well before the war, less than a fifth lacked tusks. Like a color in human, genes are responsible for whether elephants inherit tusks from their parents. Although tusklessness was once rare in African savanna elephants, it's become more common, like a rare a color becoming widespread. After the war, tuskless surviving females passed on their genes with expected, as well as surprising result. About half their doctor were tuskless. More perplexing, two-thirds of their offspring were female. The years of unrest changed the trajectory of evolution in that population, said evolutionary biologist Sean Campbell Station, based at Princeton University. With colleagues, he set out to understand how the pressure of the euphoria threat had tipped the scale of natural selection. Their findings were published Thursday in the journal Science. Researchers in Mozambique, including biologist Domenico Gonçalves and Joyce Poole, observed the national park roughly 800 elephants over several years to create a catalog of mothers and offspring. Female calves stay by their mothers and so do males up to a certain age, said Poole, who is the scientific director and so founder of the non-profit Elephant's Voice. Paul had previously seen other cases of elephant population with a disproportionately large number of tuskless females after intense poaching, including in Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya. I have been puzzling over why it's the females who are tuskless for a very long time, said Paul, who is a co-author of the study. In Gorongosa, the team collected blood samples from 7 tusked and 11 tuskless female elephants. They analyzed their DNA for differences. The elephant survey data gave them an idea where to look, because the tuskless elephants were female. They focused on the X chromosome. Females have two X chromosomes, males have one X chromosome and one Y chromosome. They also suspected that the relevant gene was dominant, meaning that a female needs only one altered gene to become tuskless, and that when passed to male embryos, it might short-circuit their development. When mother passed it on, we think the sounds likely they die early in development. A miscarriage, said Brian Arnold, a co-author and evolutionary biologist at Princeton. Their genetic analysis revealed two key parts of the elephant's DNA that they think play a role in passing on the trait of truthfulness. The same genes are associated with the development of teeth in other mammals. They have produced the smoking gun evidence for genetic change, said Chris Darrimont, a conservation scientist at the University of Victoria in Canada, who was not involved in the research. The work helps scientists and the public understand how a society can have a major influence on the evolution of other life forms. Most people think of evolution as something that processes slowly, but the humans can hit the accelerator. When we think about natural selection, we think about it happening over hundreds or thousands of years, said Samuel Wasser, and a conservation biologist at the University of Washington, who was not involved in the research. The fact that this dramatic selection for taxonomy happened over 15 years is one of the most astonishing findings. Now the scientists are studying what more torturous element means for the species and its savanna environment. The preliminary analysis of fecal samples suggests the Gorongosa elephants are shifting their diet without long incisors to peel bark from trees. The tusked females eat mostly grass, whereas the tusked animal eats more legumes and tall woody plants, said Robert Springer, a co-author and biologist at Princeton University. These changes will last for at least multiple elephant generations. Thank you. Good night.